Everyone, we're going to go ahead and change our brake pads today.
These are the tools we're going to need. We're going to need a floor jack, C-clamp, some tools. So this is just my mechanic tool set I use for everything. It has almost everything I need. Torque wrench. So I have an impact as well. It makes it a little easier than using a ratchet. All right, parts you're going to need: front brake pads, rear brake pads, and a hardware kit if any of your hardware is missing. So for our vehicle, we were missing some springs, so I had to replace all the hardware anyways.
You also need some brake grease.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so we just needed enough to lift the tire off the ground. Make sure you chock the tires. You don't want this car rolling. All right, so we're gonna use a chrome socket. I know you're not supposed to. That's all we got. So I'm going to put the wheel underneath, so if the car falls, it falls on the tire. Tools closer. Right, 17mm. Okay, so once you remove that, this will swing up. Right. And then we can pull out these pads. The springs are missing from these brakes. So we go up top, and you want to open up this brake fluid reservoir, and then just leave it sitting right there. The fluid's gonna come back up a little bit when we compress the caliper. So what I like to do is place the old brake pad back in. Like that. And just go slow. You don't need to go fast with this. All right, so we were missing parts on our Acura MDX. So as I was taking it apart, I noticed that the springs were missing. So I went back up to the auto parts store and picked up a hardware kit. Usually you can reuse the hardware that's on the vehicle. They didn't sell the pins by themselves, or the spring by themselves. So I had to get a new set. These are the rear brakes. So these should be the front brakes. Part number 13666Q. All right, so here's what we got. So top, bottom. All right, so we're gonna change. We're gonna use the new ones then, since we have it. And these bolts back here, guide pin bolts, you need to torque it to 53 foot-pounds, so it's a lot. But I'm just removing this right now. We're gonna swing this up and switch out. So I'm gonna pull these pads out. So I was going to reuse these, but since we have a new set, we're gonna use the new ones. So get your grease. So this is the top one, the one with this little hole is the top. Without it, it's the bottom. All right, so this one goes on the bottom. Top one. Top and bottom. So I'm gonna undo the top bolt as well. So we have new boots as well. All right, so we can pull these pins all the way out. I'm going to clean them, and then we're going to, we're changing out this boot too. All right, since I have it, I'm going to go ahead and change it. They don't look as beefy as the original OEM. All right, so that's in. Put a lot of the grease on there. Alright, so that one's done. Let's slide this one out. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this. Pull off this boot. Alright, so we make sure this slides in nice and smooth. Now you take one of these little boots, this little, yes, little O-ring. Here. And then we're gonna grease this up pretty good. Alright, take this, insert it through. There we go. Much better. So this goes in and out a lot smoother than the other set. All right, now it's smoother. All right, now we need to put the springs in. So this is the tricky part. You have to keep your calipers together. So we're using a C-clamp to hold it together. All right, now we put our springs on. So top spring, and there's two little holes on top and bottom. Right there. Bottom. Alright, so the C-clamp really helps. Now you take the caliper and put the caliper over the whole unit. Okay, and we're going to put one bolt back in. Okay. And then, do you see how it's holding this right now? Now you slowly release and get your clamp, C-clamp out. There we go. And it's still, now this is holding, the caliper is holding the springs in place. There. All right, bottom bolt back in. Good. We got all new hardware on there. And 53 foot-pounds. So this is pretty tight. Torque wrench, 53. All right, that's 53 foot-pounds. The rear, and I'm only going to show you one side because it's basically the same left and right. So I did the front right, front left done already. So now we're going to do the rear right and then the rear left. Let's go ahead and get started. Check up the vehicle. So if you look under the vehicle, you'll see checking points right there. Right here. That's where you line up the jack point. So jack up your vehicle. I have the wheel chocked up front. Things are tiny. Oh, they're good. Remove these two bolts. It's a 12 millimeter. So both top and bottom. So after you loosen both of those, you can normally either swing it up, but what I do is I just pull it out completely. Like, there we go. Right. And then we'll move this on top. Yeah, set it right there while we work on this. All right, let's go ahead and pull off the pads. Why are the pads so bad? See what's going on. Shouldn't be this bad. Let's pull this off. So this pin's on the bottom. This one's up top. This. We have all new boots. top guide pin, boot. Let's open up our bag and the gear. Install the new boots. So that's the top pin. So this one, the bottom has that. All right. So you put the noise wear indicator on. Yeah. So grab your C-clamp, and we need to press this back in. Just be really careful with this because you're going towards that bolt. So I always like to put a pad, brake pad in between, so you're not pushing directly against the piston. So if you look at this, we compressed it all the way. So now our new pad will fit. Perfect. All right. So we can't put that on yet. What we have to do is put the spring in. Use your C-clamp to hold the brake pads together. All right, so now we have to torque these two bolts. These are 12mm bolts, and the torque is 25 foot-pounds, so it's not much. All right, that's pretty much it. We torqued it. New pads are in, new springs are in, new pads. We've greased up everything. Now the wheel can go back on. Torque your lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds.